Hi, everyone. So yeah, starting with a brief introduction, my name is Matt. On the personal side, I was always in love with advertising, especially the holiday campaigns that brands create. And on the professional side, we help iOS publishers to get the most of their holiday applesearchads campaigns and also the off-season campaigns. And we do it by adding SplitMetrics acquired to reduce risk, multiply spend within target and save time. Natalie?
Thanks, Matt. I'm Natalie. I've been working with feature and in the mobile marketing space the last 5 years. And yeah, focusing on mainly acquiring new users and strengthening user LTV throughout the funnel. So today, what we have for you guys is the seasonal UA topic. So overcoming the challenges that you might face when trying to scale your campaigns during the holidays. And then this will start with like a general overview. And then Matt will cover the applesearchads specifics. And so yeah, let's kick things off with the main challenges and solutions that you might have as you are going to plan your seasonal strategy. And there's a lot that's listed here, but we'll just kind of cover the main topics. And the main challenges that we see clients facing is mainly coming from increasing costs from competition. And it's actually already taking effect now for some of our clients. And a lot of these points will tie in together as we go, but the increasing costs, they're inevitable because a lot of the advertisers, especially in the e-commerce category now, they're starting to increase spend. They're trying to maintain as much visibility as they can, maybe with certain sales and promotions for the holidays. And of course, to combat this as an advertiser, the main strategy should be around having the right performing creative. So in order to get there, it's important for your team to plan ahead. We did actually a panel, I think like back in the end of August, Matt and I did, with a few other folks, and we talked about like that it's really good to plan ahead and in order to get the right creative strategy. So at least 2 to 3 weeks before you are ready to go live, you're having a creative brainstorming session and you're trying to tie in as much as you can into your assets. And by that I mean like going a bit above and beyond just your typical adding in seasonal things such as like snow, lights. I mean, that usually does work, but you want to try to go a bit deeper and connect how your product or your service is related to somebody or can be like really leveraged during the holiday season. And that's focusing on new user acquisition, but of course, don't want to forget about remarketing campaigns. That's also a really big strategy that works well for a lot of our clients to capture lapsed users. And you can get creative in the types of segments that you can create based off different user behavior, adapting your creative strategy to that. And yeah, really trying to leverage for higher retention and higher LTV ultimately. As I was saying, the other way to combat increasing costs is to experiment in other channels. And a lot of the main like big 3 to 4 channels that most mobile advertisers are in, it's Google, Facebook, and Apple also, which Matt will get into later on. But the main point to drive here is that there's a lot of other channels that may have a lot of potential, a lot of untested potential where some of the bigger players might not be focusing on or have really figured out yet. So if you can try to leverage experiments in some of the, non-Google, non-Facebook, Instagram, TikTok channels, you actually might be able to have a lot of low-hanging fruit and increase your overall efforts throughout the holiday season, where maybe CPMs and CPIs might be a bit lower than the main channels. What we, again, want to say is that try to experiment in some of those other channels, combat increasing costs. And if you can maintain sort of a balance of an 80-20 rule, I'm sure you guys have heard this before, but you want to always try new experiments expand into other channels, maybe once a quarter or every half year, you're expanding this and planning for it, but you do still want to be cautious of avoiding spreading your budgets too thin. So a lot of times you could dedicate maybe, you know, 1 to 2K for a test, but if it's iOS, for instance, it might not be enough to really understand the value that you might be able to get out of that channel. So still plan smartly, even when you have smaller budgets, to make sure you're generating enough learnings. So how do you get to the right creatives, as that is probably the main topic that we've highlighted. We actually wrote a pretty detailed blog post on this on Features website. One of our colleagues, senior performance marketing consultant, Eureka, wrote about this, and this slide summarizes the main points from each channel. But I'll just kind of summarize in general the approach that we maintain and how we work with creatives and throughout the holidays. As we said, like planning ahead, and planning ahead will actually allow you to have a little bit of like headroom to get some feedback from the channel reps. If you work with any channel reps, for instance, like Google is usually a good go-to. You can share the creatives with them a few weeks before, get feedback from them, and then that way you have a little bit of time to adjust and edit before you actually go live. And another tip, if you are having any sort of holiday offers, make sure you're including those in the creatives. If you are running in multiple different countries and languages, make sure that you are actually taking time to localize the content. So what works in even the West Coast versus East Coast in the US could be pretty different. And it's important that you do the research to understand the differences in user behavior and in the market to adapt your creatives properly. And then finally, like making sure that your creative team is able to be ready to iterate pretty quick, because you only have a little bit of time when a creative takes off to really continue pushing it throughout the holiday season. And if your creative team can be quick to adapt and create a couple different iterations, you can actually push and scale even more. So going on to the next slide, segmentation is another key to scaling holiday season campaigns and your creatives, but also in your targeting. And if you are working close with your data team, which would be ideal, you're able to really understand the different user behaviors, the different attributes that people in the app are the different routes that they're going. And you can see here, we've listed out the 6 main types of market segmentations. And I'll just list out a few examples. So for instance, demographics, we're working with a client that it's a meditation prayer app, and it's pretty big in the US. And we were running campaigns on paid social, and we knew that the audience skewed mostly female and a little bit older. So we created segments based off of women that were over 35. They were interested in, let's say, like cooking. They had kids, they had higher education, and the results were pretty good. In targeting too, you can try to get pretty creative with lookalikes and create segments based off of users that interact with your page. Maybe they watch some portion of a certain video. Try to find different ways that you can pair together lookalikes with demographic targeting as well. And yeah, there's a lot more you can do here. Maybe Matt, I'll stop here and also get your perspective if you have anything to add.
Yeah, you got me on spot, Natalie. I'm not as professional as you with the non-applesearchads channels. So yeah, I'm just appreciating the nuggets of wisdom you share here. It's amazing presentation. And from my side in Apple, I can only say it works very different. So with the demographic targeting is not something that you would want to add, because the targeting happens on the keyword level, because each keyword has its own meaning and intent of the user. And the segmentation, the way how you apply it in Apple search ads would be splitting those keywords and segment them to apply the custom product pages, which I'll try to cover further in my presentation. Please continue. Thank you.
Nice. Thanks, Matt. So yeah, I mean, the main point here is that you can try different segments based off of your type of app. And just make sure you're creating a roadmap, you're keeping track of what you're testing, what works and what doesn't, and you're regularly communicating it with the rest of your team so that everybody's on the same page. Finally, I will leave you guys with a few tips before handing it over to Matt. Mainly just plan ahead, making sure that you have the right creative, you're testing well ahead of the actual holiday, and yeah, make use of all the audiences that you can. I'll hand it over to you, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Speaking of the Apple search ads, and then in a previous session that you already mentioned, I was speaking about this case where our agency helped one of the fitness publishers to take advantage of the high seasonality, triple their spend with the controlled cost per conversion, which they do with help of the SplitMetrics Acquire platform with a full funnel in-app based automation. And yeah, today I'll just want to share a bit more about how it works with the auction and the specifics. So normally the Apple Search Ads team, the brilliant Apple Search Ads team will share the information to the publishers about when is the high season happening, showing the graphs with increased search popularity. And typically what you can see there is the CPA is also increasing during this time. And then the question is like, why would you increase the spend then if the CPA is increasing and the cost per download is increasing? So you might assume it might be smart to actually reserve your budget and spend it elsewhere. And then when you look at it from the in-app perspective, it changes, because the thing is that when seasonality kicks in is also the time when the conversion rate increases. So for each download that you get for a higher price, you also get more percentage of the in-app purchases. So that actually explains why the publishers are ready to spend more during this time when the CPI is higher. I think we can see a good example here. And tomorrow we're having this session from, it's an opening session on Wednesday where you can see more data about how it works with the high season time. Now switching to the test app and the new placement. So yeah, I really love the feature ASO stack Slack channel. Are you aware of it, Natalie? Yeah, I'm sure you're aware of it. And what we can see there is that now everyone are discussing the today's tab, and then there is a lot of concern about what will be the performance there and the metric there. And you can actually utilize your seasonal creatives there as well. So the interesting thing is that I see the biggest excitement about the new placement from those who actually managed to set up the search tab campaigns very well. We remember the last year, everyone was saying about the expensive installs from the search tab campaigns, but now we can see the publishers who managed to utilize it with like $1–2 CPIs and the reasonable cost per trial. And how is it possible? Is that they can use the SplitMetrics Acquire platform to set up the bidding automation, which will decrease the bid if it's too expensive, minimizing the spend of the campaign, or if in the selected storefront, the Today tab or now is the Today tab is performing well, the bid will increase, allowing to spend as much as possible. Moving to the custom product pages, I would like to ask you, Natalie, about your experience with it, and do you see like some particular categories where it works best?
I mean, not necessarily a particular category, but usually if they have an app that has a couple different use cases that you can create different pages for each different keyword, that would make it more related to the search.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so for me, what I can mention, it also actually works for the single use case apps as soon as you have enough keywords, but this topic I'll cover I think in the next slide. And the important part about the custom product pages is that you need it to run the Today's Tab campaign, and there are different regulations for it. So if you want to get some consultation about the ways how you make sure you pass the assessment and get your campaigns live, or if you want some hypotheses for the custom product pages as well as design, you can get it from the SplitMetrics agency. Okay, moving forward. So the seasonal keywords. This topic is very, very relevant to Apple search ads, because what we can see in the high season time is that auction performs differently. And then what we can see from the top publishers that they would have this certain ad groups with the keywords that only perform in the specific season, because normally off season, the keywords can be too expensive. But then by looking back and analyzing the data, they actually see that the keyword performed much better during the holiday time. And for the seasonality is very relevant to the sport apps. For example, the NFL related keywords will perform best during the tournament. But then with the keywords is also very, very relevant to the custom product pages topic, because when you have a single purpose app and you're unable to come up with a hypothesis about where to get these keywords, is typically because you don't have enough keywords. And the ways to get them is to run your discovery campaign, to use the analytic tools. And I just want to highlight this brand new, unique SplitMetrics solution for getting the new keywords. So the platform helps you to analyze with help of the competitor intelligence insight solution, who are your actual auction competitors, and suggest you the keywords that you are yet to add to your account. So it can be a great holiday gift for you. And we'll wrap up here.
And Matt, Natalie, you know what? This just goes to show how much information, education we have. We ran out of time. I'm very, very sorry. I hope all the guys and girls got lots of, insights here. I know I did. Matt and Natalie, really, really am grateful for your presentation. It was super. And as you can see, guys and girls, if you want to get more information, want to get more educated by Matt and Natalie, there's their email address. Please reach out to them. They're more than happy to have any conversation. So again, thank you very much, Natalie and Matt.